morning. Today we're going to visit the historical and spiritual center of Seoul. So first we are going to Jogyesa temple and then we will head to Bukchon Hanok village and Gyeongbokgung palace. I hope I say that one right.
So, yesterday we said goodbye to Pharaoh. Good seeing you. Hey, until next time.
Until next time, man.
In Malaysia.
Oh,
Yeah,
Malaysia.
Malaysia.
You guys are coming, man. It's gonna be an epic trip. Bye, Mana.
Bye, Pero.
See you in Malaysia.
See you.
Bye.
We will be seeing him again in Malaysia in maybe a couple weeks. We also saw the National Museum of Korea, which the outside was really beautiful and the inside architecture was really great. But the thing is about that museum, it's mostly prehistory and ancient history, which I don't really know much about, and I don't have much context to put this information in. So, lots of stuff about pottery, replicas of 3,000-year-old pottery, the king's crown from thousands of years ago. One interesting part was the jug coffins, so gigantic jugs that are used for coffins. But to be fair, it was kind of, I feel like it's the kind of information that we won't remember very much of because we don't really know much about prehistory. So
We
we're
need to
hoping-
learn more. We need some background info to be able to maybe immerse ourselves in that museum.
Exactly. So hopefully today the War Memorial of Korea is a little bit more our speed. Obviously we have some working knowledge of the Korean War, so when we get some information, we actually have somewhere to put it and remember it.
Yeah, so if we have time, we'll go to that museum as well. So we're in the subway now. We're about to head out. Okay, see ya.
All right, guys. Just spent 5 minutes making these flowers, which the fellow really insisted we bring with us. Now I feel like a dork with a flower, but that's okay.
No.
That's okay.
Come on.
So, Buddhist guy in there, really great. Here's the story that is sticking with us. The Korean Buddhist monk goes to America, meets a man, and the American man says, "What is Buddhism?" And the Korean monk says, "Okay, let me ask you a question. Who are you?" And the American guy goes, "Well, I'm Paul." And the Korean monk says, "That's just your name. I mean, who are you?" And the American says, "I don't know." And then the Korean monk says, "To answer that question, that's what Buddhism is. To try and figure out who we are."
Right.
So I asked the fellow inside, super helpful guy, gave us a bunch of information. I asked him what his name was. He told us his name and the meaning of his name. And then I asked him who he was, and he said, "I don't know." Which is really great. So what did we learn? This building here is the main hall, is the second oldest building in Korea. It was built more than 100 years ago, and around 100 years ago it was deconstructed and brought here. It was in a different city that's 4 hours from here. It's feng shui. So this place has what's called super energy according to Buddhist feng shui. So if you spend time here in the future, you will get health, you will get wealth, and you will get happiness. He says this is free, no pay,
Absorb
no
the
charge.
good energy.
Just come here and absorb this energy and get this super energy, he was calling it.
Ooh.
So really great. There's a place over there we can write down our hopes and wishes and throw them. So we'll do that.
And it's really great. It's so beautiful in the middle of the city. You find this peaceful, tranquil
Wow.
place.
Good point,
So
Ivana.
let's look around.
Right in the middle of the city, you got this Buddhist pagoda. Lots of action. Let's explore. So this temple is part of the Jogyesa order of Korean Buddhism, a branch of Buddhism that was started about 1700 years ago. The Jogyesa order's guiding principles are to look directly into the nature of mind in order to help someone find their true nature through meditation, reading sutras, and chanting mantras. This type of really intricate and beautiful architecture seems to be distinctive of the Jogyesa order, even especially that green color. We've seen it at every Korean temple we visited so far, and it's pretty mesmerizing the way you can't even tell exactly where one piece of wood finishes and the next one starts. It's really beautiful stuff. And of course, every temple, Korean or otherwise, seems to have this Dharma drum, which is rang in the morning and at night to awaken and enlighten all of the living things on earth. And if you look at the size of that drum, I really wish we heard it.
So along with the Dharma bell, you will find this at the entrance of any temple.
Ivana, so right at the front of this place is the one pillar gate. We didn't know this. We walked right in without.
Okay.
So we're supposed to walk through this thing because it has one lateral pillar over our heads. We're supposed to walk through this, clearing ourselves of scatter-mindedness and thinking on kind of one thing, focusing on one thing, and it will kind of bring us to this one.
Wow.
So let's go back through it again and try again.
There's
My
something
first,
within.
my first thought when I thought about that was, oh, I should think about subscribers. No, Steve, that's not you selfish. So not Buddhist. Okay, so let's go back through the front gate and think about.
Purity with a clear mind.
Yes, think about like peace or like something.
Love.
Love. There you go. Something like that. Okay, let's try again. Let's go. Now that we've walked through one pillar gate properly, I think we should write down our wishes and dreams and attach them to that monument. Let's go. Wow. What are the 4 words, Ivana? Love, calm.
Faith and wealth.
Wow. What a great start to a day.
Yeah.
Jogyesa
Temple.
Temple in Seoul.
Beautiful, beautiful ground. I love the little details on the rooftop.
True.
Amazing.
That nice teal green color. It's
Yeah.
all carved, all intricate.
Yeah.
Really fantastic. Great start to our historic, cultural Korean day.
That's right.
So it's -5 today. It's quite cold, but I'm feeling good.
It is really cool.
We are prepared for the weather. We bought a bunch of nice clothes and winter stuff. So what's our next stop again, Ivana? I forgot.
The Bukchon Hanok village.
Hanok Village.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Let's go. Okay, guys, quick change of plans. We are going to check out Gyeongbokgung Palace before the village because there is a changing of the guard ceremony I think we can catch. So, palace first, then the village, and then the museum last. Let's roll. This is really something. This is the front gate of the palace. You've got these mountains in the background. To think that we're, what, a 15-minute walk from the temple? This place is pretty incredible. This feels like some kind of central square here. Really great, no?
Yeah.
Okay, let's cross the street and go through the front gate. So evidently you can rent out these traditional clothes.
There are lots of people wearing hanbok. They'll all look so pretty.
It would kind of be nice. What's it cost, you know?
Cost between, I think, 15,000 to about, depending on how long, it's per hour. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, maybe 15,000 for an hour.
It wouldn't be the worst idea. We'll save the money, but
Yeah.
I would be into it if it were a little cheaper.
Yeah,
Cool.
it makes you feel like you're a princess because you're in a palace. Ooh.
Okay, let's go explore this place. I noticed the
go.
architecture up top is similar to the temple.
Yeah, the
Green and very ornate carvings.
Jogyesa.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, so we gotta try to find some information about this place. Obviously, it's great to be here, even if we have no information. But I'd like to understand what is the significance of this place. So, 3,001 each. But if you're wearing the clothes, hanbok, it's free. So maybe worth it to get the clothes. I'm kind of regretting not getting the clothes. So quite cheap to enter, really. I mean, this is gonna be great, I think.
Yeah.
Just enriching our experience here on our cultural day in Seoul.
So look at the mountain as well.
Great, right?
Yeah, this palace is set just on the foot of the mountain.
Wow.
Wow. Lots of the people in Hanbok, they're not actually Koreans. They're mostly tourists playing
Point.
dressed up.
I think most of them are tourists. Kind of makes me feel better about not wearing the hanbok.
Why?
Well, it's not. Locals are not doing it. It's like touristy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's for the Korean experience. To learn more about their culture. To see how they dressed up. What goes on into their costumes.
It seems to be a
and
little bit
outfit.
more for the Instagram experience.
Yeah, Instagram, but also for the culture. You know, it's nice.
Okay, found some information about this place. This is really good information here. So let's go explore and learn. Okay, so this palace was originally built in 1395, which is pretty spectacular, and it was the king's palace where he lived, as well as right out front were all the municipalities and all the political offices, as well as it was the economic capital of Seoul and more or less the geographical center. So really important place. Was unfortunately burned to the ground in the 1590s by the Japanese. It was rebuilt again and then destroyed again by the Japanese in the 1800s, and then rebuilt again for the third iteration in the 1900s. So that's why you see all the building materials are brand new, although it is built more or less exactly what it looked like in 1395. Imagine trying to build a building with a curved roof before there were power tools or anything. These structures are so elaborately designed, purposely grandiose for the king, right? Even the fact that all the buildings are like a meter off the ground. Every building has a staircase in front of it. They're just kind of raised. You've got these amazing roof structures. That's it. That's the life of a king. The palace, you know?
Yeah, imagine living here.
This place is really great.
Yeah.
I wish we had a little bit more information about what each building really was, but we still have the information at the front. Really great. Really would recommend. Kind of regret not getting the clothes. If you were into the clothes, Ivana, I would have got them.
Really?
Yeah, kind of fun. It looks fun. Everyone's having a good time.
True, true.
But it's almost 2 o'clock, so let's go back to the front for the changing of the guard ceremony. You have it, changing of the guard ceremony. I tell you what, most of the time we see these ancient traditions, festivals, whatever you want to call them, the music is terrible. This is the first time I can remember the music was quite nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
They had a drum beat, actually, you know, boom,
Wow.
boom, some trumpets happening, a gong every once in a while, good music, beautiful costumes. What's not to like?
Yeah, it's cool. They have a ceremony for changing of the guard. Wow.
Very nice. Okay, next stop, the village that we were
The
heading to earlier.
Bukchon Hanok village.
Bukchon Hanok village. Let's go. If anyone can explain this to me, I'll be more than happy to hear the explanation. Right beside the road, right beside the king's palace, you have the most bizarre looking statue I've ever seen. 4 people with their heads between the next guy's legs. This guy's got his belly out. This guy's pants are falling down. Maybe they're kids. I don't know. Alright, let me know, guys. No idea.
We are now in Bukchon Hanok village, so it's not too far from the Gyeongbokgung palace. It's about maybe 10 minutes walk.
But we did manage to get lost.
Right.
And we did find 2 ladies with tourist information jackets on who did not want to be in a YouTube video, but they were really, really helpful. I was like,
Yeah.
can I put you in the YouTube? They're like, no, okay. So they gave us a map and they showed us where to go. 600-year-old village has since been destroyed, but was rebuilt 100 years ago in the same style of 600 years ago, same location.
Right.
People
so-
still live there. Apparently inside the houses is not really very modern. The outside is obviously 600 years old. That's how it
Yeah.
looks. But the inside is still not very modern.
Yeah, Bukchon means northern village. So it's the village in the north of
There you go.
South Korea.
So they built it originally just because it was really low-cost housing, traditional style. It was kind
Yeah.
of like a poor place to live. But now that it's 2019, I should say 2020, haha,
Oh yeah.
1 week. people go there. Young people have made it trendy to go hang
Yeah.
out there. There's like cafes and stuff because
Cafes and
it
bars
looks like
around.
traditional housing. You see all the old roof structures with the tiles.
Yeah, and again,
Concave, convex.
it's a popular place to rent the hanbok, so you can take pictures with
Yes.
the old houses. So
Yeah.
you feel like you are
So y-
still in the Joseon dynasty period.
Exactly. You can go to the palace and then you can go to the village and be 600 years.
Yeah. Okay,
In the
let's
past.
check it out.
Let's go. Okay. I have lots to say about Bukchon, Hanok village. First things first, insanely beautiful. The housing structures are like amazingly beautiful. 6x6 vertical posts, the old clay tiles on the roof. The fascia board is like 40 centimeters long and 3 centimeters thick. Amazing doors with the exposed bolts and the old kind of handle, metal dangling. You could like knock with the handle or open the door with it. Gigantic wooden doors. Really beautiful place. The thing is, it's people's houses, man. And there's signs everywhere saying, please try and be respectful and don't be talking loudly. Nobody is banging that rule. People are not exaggerating, full blast, screaming at the top of their lungs, right in front of someone's door. There's people leaning, like these beautiful doors, amazing doors. There's people leaning on the door for like a selfie. It's like, what happens if this guy opens his door because he wants to go get some broccoli? You're just gonna fall in his house. Honestly, there's parts of being a tourist that are just kind of obnoxious. This one here, not for me. It just seemed a little bit too disrespectful. It just seemed... Anyway, so 2 days ago we went to Insadong village with a local named Tina, and she recommended this place is way too touristy. She said don't really go there. It's kind of... Insadong village has the same old structures. It's commercial. It's full of locals. There was like no tourists there. And Korean people are so quiet and respectful and not yelling that when you're full of this place, people are dressed in ancient Korean clothes near these ancient Korean houses, and they're just acting so touristy, so not Korean. I was just like, this place is not.
Expected. It's kind of expected.
It's kind of expected, but it's like there's signs everywhere saying, please, this is someone's house.
Yeah, be quiet.
Someone behind that door is trying to raise their kid and do some homework with their kid and prepare for dinner. And there's people like looking in their windows, like leaning up, taking selfies. It's like, did not like that place.
I think that most of the tourists comes from other Asian countries, and
Yes.
they cannot read either Korean or English, so maybe they don't understand the sign.
Maybe they don't understand the sign, but I think it's no excuse. It's someone's house. So I think today we've had an amazing day. We've done a lot today, to be fair. So next stop, War Memorial. So excited for this place. All right, see you guys there. Wow, this place is huge. It's got a bunch of different monuments outside. State Brothers Monument, Korean War Monument, Police Clock Tower, Flying Monument. Not sure we'll see them all because it's getting dark soon. But we will definitely see the exhibition hall, which I think is right here. Are you ready, Ivana?
Yay, let's go.
Hoping this museum is a little bit more exciting than the National Museum of Korea. So 170,000 South Korean people died in the Korean War, but also 36,000 Americans. So I think these plaques are all the names of all the American soldiers. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met. There you have it. We're still not inside yet, but I'm already getting quite excited. War memorials are so much more interesting than ancient history memorials. Right outside the front door. This just has the feeling of a war memorial. Lots of flags, big open area of concrete, some kind of monument. Wow. And right here, the front door. All right, let's do it. if you are coming to Korea, you must come here. Absolutely non-negotiable. The War Memorial of Korea. It's amazing. They've got stuff from prehistory. They've got stuff from 1,000 years ago. They've got these ships that were used in the 1400s so effectively against the Japanese. But most interestingly, they have huge sections with elaborate depictions and movies and incredible information on the Korean War. Made all the more interesting to us because we just came from Vietnam, where there was a very similar war. North Vietnam versus South Vietnam. North Vietnam supported by China to try and get communism happening. South Vietnam supported by America to try and get democracy happening. Same as the war here. North Korea versus South Korea.
Right.
Amazing that right next door to this country, I mean, South Korea is an amazing place. Great place to be born. Like, great place to live. Quality of
Right.
life is so high. Right next door is, I think it's safe to say, the worst country in the world to be born into.
North Korea.
North Korea. Nobody wants to be North Korean. They were down. South Korean army was like certainly going to lose. Could not defend itself against China and North Korea. Called on the UN. The UN gave them tons of help. The primary force obviously being the States. They were down to what's called the final defense line. Like the tiny little corner of the peninsula. And then they came all the way back, pushed all the way back to the 38th parallel and got their country back.
Yeah.
It is not surprising that South Korea still has military service required for all men to this day.
Mandatory military service.
Because they're saying, I'm watching all these movies, reading all these things, tons of English in here. They really appreciate how precarious freedom is. They finally got rid of the Japanese in 1948, liberated, they're free, and 2 years later, without even a declaration of war, North Korea and China are coming across the border.
Right.
And they're helpless. It's way too. They're going to lose for sure. They called the UN, and they fought. They make tons of references in here, thanking the soldiers that came from the UN, mostly
Yeah.
American soldiers. They make no bones about it. They're like, without that help, they had no chance.
Yeah, they're really grateful of the help that comes from all over the world.
Yes,
from
which amazingly
US
enough, some of them
and
even
Canada
came.
as
Yes,
well.
some from Canada.
Yeah.
Some help even came from Japan, who like 2 years ago had colonized South Korea. They gave it back, and then 2 years later, they're coming to help South Korea fight against North Korea. Kind of
Right.
amazing, but also amazing. I kind of had this opinion, like I think a lot of people have this opinion of like, what was America even doing in Vietnam? It wasn't really a war they had any stake in. Why do they care if Vietnam is capitalist or communist or democratic or whatever? Well, now that I'm like learning how grateful South Korea is, I'm like, oh, maybe America was doing something totally virtuous and totally good, trying to help Vietnam out. I mean, it's too simple to say North Korea
Yeah.
is the worst type of government, fascism, dictatorship, worst one. Vietnam somewhere in the middle is doing slightly better than North Korea. It's communism, it's socialism, but the best is South Korea. There's obviously other factors like natural resources and corruption and tons of things happening here, but I mean, it's amazing that right next door to this place is the worst country in the world, and South Korea is a great, amazing country. And then the parallels
What a
you can draw,
difference.
what a difference. The parallels you can draw to Vietnam War and how, I mean, America left Vietnam. They said, okay, fine, you can be communist if you want. You can be socialist, totalitarianism, and they're not doing very well. They're quite poor. Whereas South Korea is like so rich. There's obviously other factors at play. I'm simplifying it too much, but I mean,
Yeah, and South Korea is really grateful of all the help. We saw a ton of writings saying that all these young men were sent to war in a foreign country and they're willing to die for a country they didn't even know.
And look what they died for. They died
Yeah.
for making this South Korea so safe to travel, rich country. The citizens are doing amazing. Quality of life is so high. Like, they were really fighting for something. So when we think of Vietnam, we think, what were they even fighting for? What were they doing? They were trying to make Vietnam more like this and less like North Korea.
That's right.
I mean, obviously being Canadian, I had like it's
Freedom. They fight for freedom.
fighting for freedom. It sounds like some one of those things people say, like, oh, they're fighting for the freedom of others, and you're like, what does that even mean? Well, North Korea has no freedom. It's like probably the worst place in the world to be born. Vietnam, obviously better than North Korea, but there's parts about Vietnam we were learning. You know, if you write something on the internet about, can you believe this pothole in the street hasn't been fixed in 2 years? It disappears off the internet because Vietnam doesn't like you saying that. Like, freedom of speech is not there. You know what I mean? Freedom of speech is part of freedom. Wow. if you're coming to Korea, this museum,
War Memorial
Is a
of
must.
Korea Museum.
I mean, maybe you know some of this stuff already. I'm like North American, like Canadian. Even the World War II section in here, I really didn't understand how much Japan was doing so insanely evil. In North America, in Canada, we're taught like the Nazis were evil and we had to stop the Nazis. We don't really learn that much about Japan and how like
Yeah, about Asia.
Asian history. I just don't know much about it. I'm just admittedly ignorant. But I mean, the Korean War part, learning about how close South Korea was to losing that war and drawing the parallels to Vietnam, this place is an absolute must. It's almost gonna be closed soon. 6 p.m. it'll close.
That's right.
I mean, I might come back tomorrow. This place is amazing.
Okay, let's continue our journey.
Let's go. Wow, guys. So we got to get out of here. It's 6 p.m. They're kicking us out. I'll see you back at the hostel. But first, this is the best museum I've ever been to. Not just because the information is new to me and it's so interesting, but the way it's presented. They have put so much money into this place. They've got like tons of
Yeah.
movies, and because most of the footage of the Korean War, it was in the 50s. It's good footage. They do good voiceover work. They've got like really nice animation work showing you. They've got dioramas. They've got
The
trees.
pictures, all the photos makes me want to cry.
It's amazing. They've got trees and sticks and leaves hanging from the ceiling, and they're playing movies on a projection screen into it of people climbing through the forest. Feels like you're right there. They've got legitimate items from the war. Amazing museum. This is a must. All right, time to go back to the hostel.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Thanks for watching our video, guys. We're in Malaysia now, so stay tuned for some Malaysia videos. We had a blast in South Korea.
And there's still more of South Korean videos, by the way.
More vlogs to come
More
in South
coming.
Korea. So you can click below us for our most recent upload. You can see where we are now, what culture we're learning about, and what history we are experiencing. And on the left, some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Later.
Bye.